Can a single moment of kindness change your fate forever? Weaving through the ages, Buddhist wisdom whispers of unseen ripples, a gentle gesture, a heartfelt gift, surging outward in ways we can barely imagine. What if the simplest act, performed with no thought of reward, could become our unseen shield, our quiet protector when we least expect it? This is the true story of a woman whose single good deed bloomed into a miracle years later, reminding us that compassion, given freely, never disappears. She lived a life so ordinary it almost blurred with the rhythm of her village. Not wealthy, not celebrated, but always steady, her pride resting in honest hands, a modest home, and the well-worn paths she walked each morning. By trade, she worked as a cook at a local eatery, waking just before dawn to knead dough, stir soups, and turn humble ingredients into comfort for others. Her neighbors knew her for humming gentle lullabies, for setting aside a bowl of rice for a stray dog, and for tending the sick when nobody else noticed. She never sought recognition. For her, kindness was not something to boast about, but a quiet, natural way to move through the world. On a rain-soaked morning, the sky pounding out its own grief, she hurried under her worn umbrella, mind full of the day's simple chores. But as she turned the corner, the scene froze her mid-step. An old beggar, soaked to the bone, collapsed on the cold stones of the street. Passers-by swept past with lowered eyes, pressed for time and fearful of involvement. He was shivering, lips blue, utterly invisible in his sorrow. Compassion overrode hesitation. She knelt beside him, shielding his frail body from the rain. In her bag, still warm, she found a container of hot soup meant for her own breakfast. She pressed it into his hands, urging him to sip, rubbing his back until the tremors subsided. With the help of the grocer, she coaxed him beneath the awning, wrapping him in an old scarf from her satchel. For a long while, she stayed with him as the rain thundered on, speaking softly, letting him know he was not alone. When he finally found the strength to sit up, his voice trembled with gratitude. Before he could say much else, he faded into the crowd, leaving her with a grateful nod and eyes glistening with tears. Time tumbled on, washing the memory into the current of her daily responsibilities. She never expected a reward or recognition. To her, kindness was never a transaction, but the universe, it seemed, remembered. In the years that followed, she faced challenges she had never anticipated. When her small eatery was threatened by a sudden downturn in business, a new restaurant opening down the street, she worried over bills and sleepless nights. Then, out of the blue, a food critic visited unexpectedly, tasting her cooking with keen delight. A glowing article appeared in the newspaper days later, bringing new customers in droves. Soon after, a legal mix-up threatened her lease, entangling her in a bureaucratic maze. It looked as though she might lose her shop altogether. Yet, an office clerk, a stranger, took extra care with her papers, correcting a minor error that made the whole issue dissolve. A year later, crossing a busy street with groceries in hand, she slipped on loose gravel, tumbling backward towards an oncoming motorbike. Time slowed. In that eternal second of peril, a passerby caught her arm, pulling her just clear as the motorbike screeched to a stop. Heart pounding, she stammered her thanks, but the crowd had already whisked the Good Samaritan away. These moments seemed like luck, but she felt deep in her heart a subtle pattern. Seedlings of good fortune sprouting where despair should have taken root. But fate's true test arrived one silent night. She was closing her store, counting the last coins as the rain began to patter softly against the window. The bell over the door chimed. A man burst inside, face shadowed, voice rough and desperate. He brandished a knife, demanding the contents of the till. Fear struck her motionless. She was completely alone. Suddenly, the door flew open again. A figure, heavier set, clad in a simple coat, stormed inside. With a shout, he startled the thief, who panicked and fled into the night. The rescuer turned to her, worry etched on his brow. As she thanked him, her lantern's light spilled across his face, and recognition dawned. The beggar from years past, now clean, sturdy, eyes clear with the depth of experience, stood before her. Her voice shook as she asked how he had come to be there, so changed. The man smiled, but his eyes filled with emotion. "That day in the rain," he said, "I was as good as lost. Your kindness saved me when I needed it most. You gave without asking, saw me when I was invisible. From that day, I promised myself, if I ever got the chance to help you, I would. You reminded me what it means to be human. I found work, found my strength again. Tonight, I was passing by. When I saw the danger, I remembered my promise, and I finally could repay your gift." Tears blurred her vision. Gratitude mingled with awe. She could scarcely believe that one brief act, forgotten in the rush of life, had circled back to save her at her own moment of greatest need. In her quiet shop, the lessons of compassion, lost and found, echoed louder than any storm. Still in awe, she sought guidance from the monk at the temple she sometimes visited. Between the incense coils and flickering lamps, she recounted her story, voice almost hesitant, as if afraid this coincidence might dissolve if spoken aloud. The monk listened in peaceful silence, then smiled, eyes creasing with gentle wisdom. In Buddhism, he explained, every act of kindness is a seed sown in the vast field of life. You may not see it sprout right away. Years may pass, storms may come. But when you give from the heart, you carry those seeds with you. And one day, when you least expect it, a flower blooms to shield you from harm. You never lost what you gave that day. By serving him, by seeing his suffering, you watered your own future without knowing it. She sat, absorbing the words, marveling at the quiet power rippling through that simple afternoon so many years before. Kindness, it seemed, was more than charity. It stitched an invisible web, strong enough to catch her when the world seemed to unravel. The lesson was clear, echoing deep within Buddhist philosophy. Every compassionate action creates a karmic seed. It may not blossom today, or even tomorrow, but each seed, pure and selfless, is never wasted. It lingers, sometimes dormant, sometimes unseen, until just the right moment arrives. Then, like a hidden guardian, that seed sprouts into a shield, saving us, transforming misfortune, or returning to us at our moment of greatest need. As she returned to her daily life, Her steps grew lighter. The world itself seemed subtly changed. Each interaction, passing a stranger, helping a child, offering a smile, took on new significance. Every gesture, however small, held the weight of destiny. She no longer doubted the power of compassion or the mysterious ways the universe remembers our good deeds. Kindness, she realized, was never lost. It became part of the vital, living energy that binds all beings, linking past, present, and future in one great circle of care. So, consider for a moment, what was the last act of kindness you performed without any expectation or thought of reward? Did you hold a door for someone burdened with packages? Did you comfort a friend or donate to a cause you care about? Perhaps your gesture seems small, lost in the everyday rush. But according to Buddhist wisdom, those moments linger like scattered seeds, nourished by their very purity, awaiting a chance to bloom when you least expect it. Let this story be a gentle reminder we may never see the full impact of our actions, but every act, motivated by compassion, shapes our fate, and sometimes it turns to us when we need it most. In a world hungry for hope and connection, such invisible blessings may be the finest treasures we can give or receive. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to reflect or share a recent kindness that made a difference in your life. Like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life lessons from Buddhist wisdom. Reminders that the truest gifts we give are never truly lost, but find their way back to us, often in our hour of greatest need.